Why do you think Jimmy Garoppolo is having such a good season, Jose?
Because the pressure's off him. It's off him, and he's playing free. And I think this is something like I had mentioned at first when Jimmy first came in. I think we tried looking at the bright side. Like, what's one thing we can think of a bright side with Jimmy stepping in the rest of the way for Trey Lance? And it was like, look, the criticism is not going to be as high, or it shouldn't, because he's not getting paid as much. You know, ever since you brought up that great point about he doesn't take up 50% of the salary cap space, which I'll forever look at contracts that way from now on. Is look how much Jimmy Garoppolo is like 2-3% now. So again, the pressure comes off because number one of his pay. There'll still be the criticism of a quarterback because it comes with the territory, but it's not all on him anymore. You have players like Debo, George, and now CMC who need to take more of that brunt. Kyle Shanahan needs to take more of that.
Right.
And the second point is
he's not expected to be a playmaker. He just has to distribute the ball to his playmakers.
Do your job. Make a couple plays out of your bag, and which he did. So the Kittle play was brilliant.
Yes.
My God, that's 3 weeks in a row now.
Don't turn the ball over. Distribute the ball and make one play with your legs. He's doing that.
Don't turn it over.
He's doing that.
Yeah, he's doing all that are tremendous. Yeah. And the second point is to add some less pressure is he wasn't supposed to be the starter. He's playing with found money. He's playing with found money to be a starter with no pressure and for a contract next year. So all of these, I just think, well, ultimately it's just the pressure because he's not supposed to be that guy anymore. Whereas years past it was like, yes, Kyle, yes, sir, Kyle. And now I think ever since he kind of has disconnected to that extent, or at least gone to arm's length from being that yes man to Kyle, I feel like now he's playing more free. It's just something about him being more relaxed. You just sense it. I don't see too much tap dancing like you see from him. And I just think it's all going hand in hand with how he's playing.
Yeah, I like yours is a very generous reading of it. I'm more pessimistic. To me, this is a classic contract year push from a guy who's done it before. I feel like he's motivated. And it kind of annoys me that he wasn't motivated the last 4 years. But what I see is a guy – like, my question with Jimmy Garoppolo is, why does he play football? Like, the quarterbacks that we grew up on, Joe Montana, Steve Young, and the other greats in the organization, they held themselves to a standard. It felt like they were playing football partially to make money, of course, but also because they wanted to win Super Bowls and they wanted to be the best. They had this other standard that was independent of finances, and they weren't making as much money back in the 80s and 90s anyway. Now, for a lot of players, Jimmy included, I'm like, why do you play? When he was making all that money, it didn't seem like he held himself to any type of standard. He was okay throwing picks or being kind of middle of the road. But now when it's time to get another contract, like all of a sudden he doesn't turn the ball over. He transfers his weight. He does all the little things that we were asking him to do the last few years. And it's like, it seems like he's the kind of guy who needs some motivation to play his best. It's not just, I want to be the best. I want to win a Super Bowl. It's, and this might be my next contract. This might be my last contract I ever get. And it's not a bad thing. It's human nature. But that's the way I read him. I don't think he's necessarily one of these guys who's obsessed with being the best football player he can be. I mean, it's documented, right? No one knows what he does in the offseason. He goes off the grid. He doesn't seem like obsessed like Tom Brady. Whatever. Okay, he's a normal guy. He's down to earth. And when it's time to get paid, he can turn it on. I mean, we should all be like that, right? We should all be so lucky. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
I'm just saying, this dude can put some zeros in his bank account. You got to respect that.
And I think that's why I started seeing people mention. You mentioned like the little things, like his footwork, transferring weight, all the technique. I think that's something maybe you can credit to Brian Greasy too. I mean, I'm not too sure how much I'm going to put on that. I would love for you if somebody can ask him if he ever gets the chance to, like hey, or just Garoppolo, like how do you feel you finally gotten up to acquainted with Brian Greasy, because that could also be another telltale sign of why he's playing a little better.
But how about this though? Maybe Jimmy's actually taking coaching for the first time in a while, because it's one thing to be like, hey man, I'm the highest paid player in the league. Leave me alone. I know what I'm doing too. Oh, you just got benched. You just got your salary cut by 75%, and now you're at the crossroads in your career. He's back to where he was when he was 26, where he has to impress everyone. I'm a hard worker. I'm all in. I'm dedicated. Let me get that $80 million signing bonus. And then you'll see what you get the next 5 years.
You know, I can't push back on that because it could very well be true. Look at all the offenses who need a quarterback right now. You got Pittsburgh, the Jets just bench Zach Wilson. There's at least 5 teams who easily Jimmy Garoppolo
He's marketing himself.
make a difference on.
He's marketing himself right now, and this is what players do in contract years. I'm the hardest worker. I'm the best teammate. I do everything right. But we saw what happened the last time they gave you a 6-year contract. You went 4 years where you were like, super inconsistent. Good games, bad games. All of a sudden, he's found some consistency. At 31, just like he had at 26 in 2017. All of a sudden, he's 26 again. I think it's hilarious. But yeah, good for the Niners and good for him. They might just be able to ride this to a Super Bowl victory. And then they'll have to figure out, but we don't need to go there yet because they're not there. They've just won 3 games in a row against teams that are not going to the playoffs. We need to slow the fuck down. We need to slow the fuck down. I think we do. But it's fun. Jimmy's garbage. I'm still not convinced. Says Dennis McCrae. What's up, Dennis? Cone phone legend.
A good season.
I don't know what to make. The other thing is his mental toughness. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Hold on. Let's go to another one.
Because you did say, I remember one time you told me, like, I'm just waiting for that bad Jimmy stretch that we know is coming. And it's like, is it coming, though? Is it coming? Because, I mean,
right now, what happens in the playoffs.
Yeah, okay.
Even in his best year in 2017, he didn't have to go to the playoffs, and he's been a choke artist. So we have to see what he does when it's nut crunching time. I'm sorry, I keep cursing.